Hey to all those seeking vibrant health. It's Dr. Rachel Northern here in Johnsburg Chiropractic and Wellness Center, and we're covering the topic of sugar handling and diabetes, which has been a hot topic lately in our society with the rise of diabetes. I'm going to go into some of those details and facts and some ways to possibly help yourself and some lifestyle changes that you can do to help yourself either prevent diabetes or corral some of the symptoms of diabetes if you're already kind of moved over into the other side. So statistically, this is some of the facts here. In the last 20 years, we have exponentially switched over to a predominant diabetic society. So this colors here, the deep purple colors are saying a high percentage of obesity and prone to diabetes. And so this was just 20 years ago. If you can see that on the little screen there, you can kind of see how it's lighter colored. And this is now just a couple of years ago. And we've already all the states have lit up with increase of obesity. And that also leads to diabetes, heart disease, and all these other factors. So statistically, we're seeing it as well in numbers. And so some of the stresses, this is just an overall thing that can contribute to just ill health, but can contribute to diabetes and improper sugar handling. Is, stress is one thing, whether it's prone to eat sugar or eat unhealthy things. But we have, imbalance of sleep cycle, where also there's back and forth of sugar is inflammatory. And when I talk about sugar, we're going to go into some details about that, but I don't mean just like pure sugar. I mean anything that's refined that pretty much converts to sugar very quickly in our stomach and our bloodstream. That is what I'm talking about so not just like some people like, well, I don't eat that much sugar, but yet they drink a can of soda a day or several cans of soda, or they eat a lot of refined breads and crackers and pastas. Those things pretty much go straight to your, increasing your blood sugar. So, we have tons of blood sugar imbalances, whether we're eating it frequently and spiking our insulin and it's going up and down, which you're going to show a slide on that. And, that contributes to stress on the brain, dementia, mood swings, depression. So all these things contribute to it. And also just our society with all the toxins we're exposed to also makes us predominant to have problems with diabetes. So that is that. So here's like kind of just they talk about insulin resistance. So in the medical terms, they talk about that diabetes is like this insulin resistance. And insulin is a normal hormone. We're supposed to produce it from our pancreas. And if you are eating too much sugar, it keeps dumping that insulin. Well, eventually the organ gets aggravated first producing the insulin. Also, the cells are so getting used to being bathed with insulin that they start to be resistant. So we have all this insulin pouring in and it's no longer effective. So it's saying normal, we have the insulin pull in, and that kind of helps distribute the glucose properly and balanced. And now we're just like keeping all this glucose in our bloodstream, which causes inflammation in the arteries and sugar on the brain, sugar in inflammatory, like I just said. So that's called the insulin resistance. So just like too much of that sugar stays in the blood, or the glucose stays in the blood, and then that makes things sticky, and it's just a cascade effect. That also then contributes to cholesterol and fats and all the complexities of the way the body works. So so it was going back almost every talk about SAD, the standard American diet, which is SAD. And this is just statistics. This is as recent as U.S. Department of Agriculture and U.S. Department of Health and Human Services statistics that they've taken studies on, and this is up to 2020. So this is, about 4 years old, but still probably accurate as of today or worse. It says, about 87% of we're below target for eating our vegetables. And most of the 39% of those vegetables are like from tomatoes and potatoes. So that's kind of like French fries and ketchup. Sometimes they count. which really is not a good thing because a lot of times the ketchup's got high fructose corn syrup and sugar in it. And potatoes are really starchy and tend to go straight to your blood sugar. So those aren't really good factors for vegetables. Fruit, we're below 75% of us in the United States, or 75% of that intake. So we're not, again, we know we're not eating enough fruits and vegetables. This is actually the data saying that. And then they're saying 33% of the fruit, again, that they say is coming from juice. So drinking orange juice, they count as eating a vegetable, which again, we don't have the fiber, we don't have all the things that attach to it, which we're going to talk a little bit later about the importance of fiber. So, and then we got the increase of the 70%. We add sugar on top of things. So not only maybe we're eating applesauce, we're eating a fruit, we'll count applesauce as a little processed, but then they add sugar to the applesauce. So they're adding additional sugar on top of it, which is not necessarily needed. So those are, you can get applesauces without the added sugar. Again, beware of the toxins of adding artificial sweeteners, because a lot of those have those in there. And then we have just that added increase of the sugary beverages, which we talked about, whether it be soda, whether it be even some of these drinks, even the fruit juices that are only like 25% actually fruit juice, and the rest is like sugar and water. Oh, whether it be we have a lot of people doing those electrolyte drinks that have added sugar into them. And, yes, we need electrolytes, but you want to make sure you have actually the electrolytes, not just the sugar in there. And so we have, again, the saturated fats were 71% above what we are supposed to be. So that's just, again, those bad, unhealthy fats, the fried foods, fast foods, contributing to that. And then we're 89% of increase in over our sodium intake. So again, that's back to the processed foods, maybe adding more salt to your intake, but mostly it's just because everything processed to preserve it, they add a lot of the salt. And again, if you're eating out. So going to the next thing. So this is actually a graph showing that. I'm a visual person. So, this is where we're these graphs is like we're supposed to be over here for fruits and vegetables, and we're down here. That got some grains and dairy. Again, that's controversial. We can talk about dairy later, but definitely protein. We don't really tend to get enough protein, but a lot of us eat a lot of more of those red meats, which is not necessarily good for us as either. We're not good on our healthy fats, too much sugar, too much unhealthy fats, too much sodium. So, and this is like the graph of our daily intake. So this is saying that most of these, 59% males exceed our sugar intake. This is showing on a daily basis. So this is on a daily basis, which I think this is probably not accurate, because I swear I'm pretty sure people are drinking more than that. I think people like me who don't eat a lot of sugar are counterbalancing this, but this is how much sugar on a daily basis the individual is getting in our society. So that's not really good. And then it goes up to a weekly basis with a shovelful. So if you take this times 7, you can see how that quantifies. Now, if we took this times 7, that's how much the average American ate in sugar for the whole year 80 years ago. They said 80 years ago, there was maybe only a pound of sugar total that people ate 80 to 90 years ago. And so just in one generation, we've exponentially increased all these refined sugary things. So that now you can see why that graph is getting brighter and brighter, because we're just dumping all the sugar into our bodies as a society. So pretty much as much as we get in a week, or even maybe a couple weeks now, they used to only eat in a year. So they used to eat a lot more fresh stuff, and then a wheelbarrow over a year. So that is definitely not. So this is kind of about the regulation of sugar. I talked about the insulin, and the insulin pushes it out, but what actually the main guy that actually processes the sugar, or what main guy organ, is the liver. So we just are coming out of the detoxification month. Twice a year we promote the purification detoxification month, which is trying to eliminate sugar from your diet, eating more fruits and vegetables, increasing all the healthy things that we were just talking about. And that part of that is supporting that liver so it can process sugars properly, process our foods properly, process the toxins that we're exposed to daily, hourly, minutely, properly. So it's the liver's responsibility to convert sugar to fat and fat to sugar. And so it goes through that. So we were talking about the pancreas. The pancreas is what produces the insulin, and that helps the liver do the conversions and get it to where it needs to go. And so that's really important to support both of these organs and treat them well and give them what they need. So the liver needs those green vegetables, the things in green vegetables to do its job properly. And the pancreas, also just needs just overall healthy things and not to tax it. So, and there's an epidemic of a non-alcoholic fatty liver. So, non-alcoholic fatty livers, like people before, they called it cirrhosis of the liver. And now they have tons of people that have this fatty liver that don't drink alcohol. Alcohol is a sugar, but it's because that increase of sugar is just as taxing as somebody who's drinking alcohol all the time. So we have an increase in healthy liver. We have just nice balanced fat ratios, and then it gets bigger globules, and it starts to get inflamed, and then it starts to like harden and start to be not very pliable, kind of like a fibrosis type. So it's not very good, and then the liver can't do its job, and it starts to slowly pretty much kill the liver. So it can't do the function it needs to. So as you go down that line, it's harder to reverse this. That's why some people I've had that crossed over to that type 2, they call it diabetes, and maybe they've been put on insulin or maybe some drug to try to manage their insulin. Once they changed their diet and cleaned up everything, got rid of the sugars, started eating more of their healthy foods, they actually were able to go off of that and reverse it back up. So there's this arrow back and forth. So you can get back there. But if you go too far down the line where you destroy the liver too much, you're going to be dependent on doing this insulin or the drugs that help you manipulate your sugars to get them in proper balance. So you want to take care of the body when you can. And I have seen patients who have reversed that type 2 diabetes. So there is hope for you, as long as you don't just deteriorate your body, let your body get too deteriorated in there. So the body's amazing. If we treat it healthy, we can bring some of that health back and vitality back. So this is just, again, the statistics we're gotten, again, of between 30 to 40% of adults in the U.S. now have that non-alcoholic fatty liver. And like I said, a lot of people, just people who don't even drink. I have a couple patients that come in, they're like, I've been diagnosed with this and I don't drink alcohol. And the main contributor I've read in some data is high fructose corn syrup, because again, a couple decades ago, the mainstream companies found out that it's easier to produce high fructose corn syrup. It makes everything sweeter, and it's cheaper than sugar, and they put all that into all these beverages and products, and even canned goods. I'm finding when I just trying to look for beans last year, and they had high fructose corn syrup in a can of beans, and I'm like, why? We don't need sugar in beans. So there's just a lot of it's just contributed in there. It's again about helping the consumer buy things, and they want to make it taste good, so then you buy it again. So it's not about our health, it's just about marketing, unfortunately, in our society. And so we gotta make sure we want to take care of things on this end. I talked a little bit about the obesity, insulin resistance. They contribute to bad fats, so high cholesterol. We were just talking about the liver and how it converts the sugar into fat. Well, it also contributes to the high triglycerides and your cholesterol and the HDL and the LDL and all those other LDLs. And so we want to pay attention to the fats, because maybe your sugar looks good, but you got showing up a lot of higher fats on your labs. That's just because it's shooting it over to fat. So even though it doesn't look like you have a sugar problem, you still could have a sugar problem. And some people not only show up with, they have now the sugar problem, and now they're showing the fat problem, which then contributes, they call this metabolic syndrome, which you're just saying the body can no longer adapt around mostly these poor lifestyle choices that you've now, caused your body reaping the consequences of that over time. And then, like I said, diabetes. Now, management on my end as a holistic person is talking about lifestyle choices, interventions, moving your body, diet, and then we're going to get into some supplements and some herbs that have research shown is good for you. So first on the movement part, I got videos you can look back on. Sitting is the new smoking. That's been over, I think, a decade now. That research came out that even sitting more than 6 hours a day in our society is a lot of our jobs are desk work, commuting to a desk job and back. So if you're sitting more than 6 hours a day, they say that's equivalent to like smoking like a half a pack of cigarettes or more. So it's not good. It's not good for our vascular system. It's not good for just energy, getting that, exhausting some of that energy and burning up that glucose or sugar you're eating. And so we need to move. So I tell people, try to get up from your desk, at least every hour. Try to get up for like 10 minutes. I know that's, sometimes people are like, I can't do that. Well, try to make it happen. Set the alarm, get up and just move your body a little bit. Go to the water cooler, go walk around the house, go walk the stairs, there's a variety of different ways you can do that. And you probably can Google a bunch of ideas to get you moving in your office state. And actually research says you should be taking for every 45 minutes to an hour to work, taking a break, because it does refresh your mind and let you come back and be more productive in your work if you do that anyway. So there's that. This is the most contributing risk factor, so very important to try to make this a priority. I tell people, if you're on a computer, maybe set like one of those alarms to go off and go posture check, exercise check, maybe every 45 minutes to an hour to get you to remember to get up and do these things. So there's that. They were talking about that actually resistance training, that aerobic, doing the resistance training over aerobic is actually better for burning some of the sugar up. So that's like getting those resistance bands. I've literally gifted out, I don't even know, I think I'm over 20 or 30 of these stretchy bands that I've given out to patients of like, put it in your desk drawer, put it in your car, whatever, stoplight, do your little resistant bands. But doing these resistant bands, doing some of that, more working those muscles to burn up some of that sugar, it's really important. Do little mini squats maybe next to your desk, anything to kind of just get some of these muscles moving. I do want you to still keep them moving of like cardiac still, because you want to get that blood pumping through the heart as well. So, key nutrients for healthy glucose management. So what is the magic diet? Well, research shows the low carb Mediterranean diet, which is the one that every time I go to a seminar, they say that one comes on top of the healthiest diet in research, whether it be pain management, glucose management, fibromyalgia, like inflammation, it's generally the one that comes on top. So mainly that's trying to get more greens and more of your vegetables. That should be your number one thing on your plate, and then you're putting into your body is that eating that rainbow. Get a variety of colors. Even white is a color, black is a color, black olives. 2 nights ago I had jicama. It's pretty fresh right now. So if you don't know what jicama is, look it up. It's kind of a cool little snack to have. And so trying to get more variety of those fruits and vegetables, that should be your number one thing you should get very daily. I tell people try to get twice as much vegetables than fruit, and then you should have those fruits that are high rich in your fibers. So your apples, your pears, your berries, those are really, really good for the fiber. The fiber in there helps absorb some of that excess sugar. It helps absorb those excess fats, helps absorb those toxins, and it feeds your good bacteria. So that's really important for your gut. Trying to make sure you're getting healthy oils in, your avocado oils and your olive oil, and so there's other things. Try to avoid like more of those trans fats and your nuts and your healthy seeds. And then, for protein, we're going to talk about that in a little bit here, and go on from there. We're going to talk about these things. So the main thing is high protein. The number one thing when I have patients come in, it's very rare I have people actually eat protein, the right servings of protein a day. Most people get 1 to 2 servings of protein a day, and that's pretty much it. And that's not really good. We need to have more protein than that. It does depend on how much you weigh, and try to look in that. But the main thing is not enough people are getting protein. So it's like, first, my pet peeve is getting enough of the fruits and vegetables in. Second, getting enough of the protein in. And I'm talking about healthy proteins. We know cold water fish is part of that low carb Mediterranean diet, which is helpful for the fat and the protein in it. So trying to get like that tuna, salmon, again, those really good sardines, anchovies, the small fishes too that got really rich omega-3s. But if you're not a fish person, you can do some grass-fed beef that does have some omegas in there, wild game. Try to make sure you get more of that organic meat or that grass-fed meat that is better for you. Eggs. So just pay attention how much protein you're getting in if you're eating only 1 serving or 2 servings a day. So they're saying also muscle is responsible for 75% of that intake of that glucose that we take. So the more your muscle, you're feeding your muscle through the protein. Your muscles are mostly protein, so you want to feed your muscles, and that helps handle your glucose. So again, that's back to that resistance training and activating those muscles. Let me see. I got little fast facts here. So things about protein. When we do the detox diet, I'll have people like, I'm starving. You should not. When we do the purification detox diet, there's plenty options to eat on that. So we do the newest one. We do have you fast and only do the protein shakes the first 2 days. But after that, you should not be hungry. And most of the time, if somebody is still hungry and they're eating the things they're supposed to be eating, it's because they're not getting enough protein is one of them, or they're not drinking enough water. Because sometimes that replaces, people think they're hungry, but really they're just thirsty. So those are 2 things that I kind of talk about. But when you eat protein, that makes you full. That makes you feel satisfied. And it maintains that healthy muscle mass. And especially as we get older, some of my seniors, this is one thing, they as we get older, we don't produce the same amount of stomach acid, and therefore the taste for meat actually starts to go away. And so then they stop eating it, and they're already kind of aging, and their muscles are aging. So there is some supplements, enzymes and digestive aids I do recommend for some of my seniors over like 60, 65, and that will help them maintain digesting their meat and being able to get that protein in. And then, just overall, we need protein for our bodies. Our skin is actually made of protein. It's phospholipid layer. Phosphorus is from protein in our process of protein. So this is like that. We're talking about the fiber. So fiber, we are supposed to get 35, I believe, milligrams or grams of, so we're supposed to get so many grams of that fiber. We're not getting it. Obviously, like everything else. So pay attention to when you're reading the labels of trying to make sure you're getting grams. I did, after I listened to this glucose management talk, I started now like kind of Googled like how much is in an apple, and how much is in a pear, and which vegetables have the most amount of fiber. And so those are things you can do and start to pay attention. When I did the purification this last month, I noticed I lost some weight, and that was mostly like healthy weight, but it was because, I got to a healthier place. I kind of gained some weight over the holidays. So that's a side note on that. So doing the fiber, it was like increasing that fiber at first. Made me more satisfied, but I noticed that was kind of what helped me lose some of that weight. So now I'm trying to make sure to focus on that fiber, because that fiber, like I said, absorbs some of that excess junk we need. It breaks down slower. It feeds the good bacteria. It helps actually strengthen our small intestine muscles. So I've had several patients over the years have diverticulitis, and a lot of times that's because the muscles become weak because we don't have enough roughage in there to squeeze, activate. So we're not got enough resistance. So fiber strengthens that smooth muscle in our small intestine and our large intestine. So it has a lot of properties. And so there's some fiber that actually gets broken down and feeds that good bacteria. And some of it just is kind of like for the strengthening of things and absorbing those bad things we talked about. This is kind of just like high fiber intake, associated with lower levels of obesity and then that abdominal fat. So Like I was just talking about, I noticed that I had lost a little bit of the abdominal fat when I was doing the purification, and I totally think it's mostly contributing because of the higher fiber I was eating. It helps decrease your weight, so it's a good weight loss thing. So this is just talking about whole foods. So eating the foods that we need to. Now, nowadays we are nutrient deficient. Our foods are, a lot of the fruits and vegetables are overcropped and don't have all the nutrients that they used to have, but they still have that fiber that contributes to it, and some of those micronutrients that we still need. The blueberries are still blue, and that's the blue in the blueberries, and the red in the cherries are still antioxidants. So it's talking about, the more you eat those whole foods, the better you are on everything. So trying to contribute to this. So supplements, general supplements I recommend for sugar handling, just for patients that you can do. Now, again, you need to make sure if you're on medications, consult your doctor or consult any of those reference guides for counteractions or things. Anytime I recommend certain herbs or supplements, I try to reference if they're on medications to make sure it's not going to interfere with those. So, but a lot of these supplements help with this. You get your berberine, your lipoic acid, and your green tea. Chromium is really an important mineral we need for activation of our insulin. And so again, most societies, those micronutrients we're deficient in. So that's one thing I put people sometimes on chromium if they're having problems with the sugar handling. And I've done this a lot too with my pregnant women that are maybe that pre-diabetic while they're in pregnancy and having issues with the sugar handling. And it's amazing how we can get them on just some of that chromium supplement in a whole food format, and their sugars balance back out, and their tests come back, blood tests come back better. So that's really important. Cinnamon, everybody's talked about cinnamon. I've been in practice 20 years. I think 15, 18 years ago, people knew about cinnamon, taking cinnamon capsules. We're going to talk about that in a minute. And then N-acetylcysteine, which is a precursor to your glutathiones and your antioxidants, is really important just for handling some of the processes in our bloodstream. So the newest information I have here from the webinars I've been doing is some research done on fenugreek, and then we have black cumin seed, which supposedly black cumin seed is supposed to be the magic cure-all vitality herb. So I haven't seen personal testimony on this yet, but there's a lot of data out there on it. I've just started kind of working with it, so we'll see what the future holds. Bitter melon, this is a new one to me, bitter melon. And then we have the cinnamon, which we're talking about. So there's been a ton of research showing for fenugreek of changing fasting glucose levels and the 2-hour fasting, and then also reducing both blood glucose and cholesterol levels. So there's some great data on this particular herb. So I have some, let's see, that the research was saying, I've got the stats. So it's about 100 to 300 milligrams a day on this one to take to try to help with those that glucose and your cholesterol. And the black cumin seed, that they were saying up to 3 grams a day. These studies did, and again, they decreased A1C, total cholesterol, and all these other effects. My recommendations I've had here from other things is 100 milligrams to 300 milligrams again a day. And then again with let's see here, the bitter melon is another one we have done a ton of research on, and that says that one kind of you can do, again, decreased your pre-diabetic, kind of pulled you back over to regular again, decreased the sugar handling. And that was they had some concentrated extract for them. But if you can find bitter melon, we have this again 100 to 200 milligrams on that. And then cinnamon is about 100 to 200 milligrams a day for that one. So if you actually want that, we've known cinnamon is the bark. We've known about cinnamon. Now, cinnamon, that's where I want to talk about. Make sure you get a good quality cinnamon. There is a lot of, just like echinacea, you can get some parts that aren't great or tainted. You want to make sure you get a good quality cinnamon and not just like some of these ones that have been like farmed out and just not got the same medicinal properties. So you want to make sure it's a high quality cinnamon. You know, try to get organic. Again, any of these things you always want to try to get organic without the pesticides and things on them. So let's see again. So we get this effective cinnamon supplementation and glycemic control in patients for type 2 diabetes. And so they were showing that they had reductions in fasting blood sugar and hemoglobin A1C. So if you don't know what hemoglobin A1C is, a measurement of like more of your long-term effects on sugar, and you shouldn't have more than, I think it's 5.7. It shouldn't be above 5.7. If you're like 5.6, 5.7, they're going to say you're pre-diabetic, and then they're going to, if above that, they're going to say you're diabetic. So that's one lab you can request the doctors to run on you. A lot of times on your annual visits, they only check your glucose and they don't run this test. So that is one test you can ask to run to see where you are on how you're handling your sugar over last several months. Let's see here, we got more, again, just the research on cinnamon, decreased all these. Oh, it also talked about decreased your waist size just doing cinnamon. So that was pretty cool. So here's some supplements that we offer in the office, like I was talking about maybe with the seniors, to increase some of that enzymes and digestive aid. This is one of my favorite products. I love Diaplex. Diaplex helps you process all your fats, your proteins, a little bit of digestive enzymes. It's got beets in it. It's got a lot of nutrients in it. It does have chromium in it, and some other good aids to help with that. So Diaplex is the one I give when I have people. We do hair analysis here to kind of see what's going on with minerals in patients. And if, you know, chromium is usually low, phosphorus is usually low, which is that indicative protein. And if those two are low, then this is definitely one I recommend for them to help digest their foods. And it does alleviate symptoms when people say they're bloated after eating, have trouble digesting their food. This is one I tend to gravitate towards. And this is the one I put out at Thanksgiving, or I'm going to have like a family game night this weekend, so that I'll like kind of put that on the counter because we tend to overeat when we all get together. And it's amazing how I go from that belly, bloated belly feeling to I take a couple of these and then I'm like, oh, I feel good again. So the trick is not to continue to eat after that. So that's one product I really love to help if they're just baseline trying to get people on track. Another product we didn't talk about, I've talked about it in the past, is Gymnema. So Gymnema is an herb that helps curb the sugar cravings. So if that's one of your problems, why you're eating so much sugar is because you're craving it. Gymnema is a product that helps curb those cravings. It kind of goes in those sugar receptors. And actually, if you suck on one of those tablets, and try to eat something sugary, it takes away your taste of sugar. So it's kind of crazy. It only lasts for a little bit, but it's kind of interesting how it like satisfies those sugar buds or whatever. And then the newest product, a Standard Process came out, I think a couple of years ago, but they just refined their formula, is Glucose Assist Protein. This is a little meal replacement type powder that comes in chocolate and vanilla, and that is making sure it has the plant-based proteins in it, but also it's got a good amount of fiber in it, so it's kind of to help people who maybe you do have that food craving and their sugar craving. You can take a little shake and with all good stuff in it, feeding all the things we talked about before, and then you're getting the good stuff and feeding the body instead of reaching for the empty calorie, all sugar products. So those are a couple options that we have here, which I just talked about. There's the research on the Glucose Assist. They're just talking about how it's got a low glycemic index and how it can provide good stuff. And then this is the one product Standard Process came out with a couple of years ago, Metabol Complex. And that actually has all that the fenugreek, the black cumin seed, the bitter melon, and the cinnamon in it in one pill. And so that way I give you some of that dosage. Well, if you don't want to go around looking for all these products. separately, they do have a pill it already contained, and we know it's a good quality source. It's MetaHerb is the company out of Australia, and they make sure their products are pure and in good form and also easy to digest. So that is one product you can look into. You can go on my website if you are not around here and can't get it ordered through the office. You can order through my website to go through my standard process ordering, or you can find somebody who carries standard process if you go on their website. So part of this talk, my resources I have been taking, continuing education through standard process, holistic matters is another one with a W. If you guys ever want to dive into research on these things that work instead of just Googling it and giving you whatever the society wants to tell you. Another one, Lifestyle Matrix, Orthomolecular. There's a lot of good companies that want to help people become healthier, and people who want to choose to, go on that vibrant health journey, make the choice to take control of this body if it's not doing well. So I'm here to help people. I love what I do. We do have some resources if you want to, like some surveys, if you ever want to do it. You can text our office at 815-344-0113. Ways I evaluate nutritionally, like I said before, is we do like a hair analysis and symptom surveys, and then we can maybe dial into what supplements or what kind of lifestyle changes you need to do. So those are things, if you're local here, I can help in those ways. Obviously, I'm a chiropractic person. I want to make sure the nervous system's functioning at its optimal first before I throw nutrition at anybody. But other ways you can kind of access on your own is I do have the book, The Journey to Vibrant Health, which you can find on Amazon. And that's just kind of little tips and tricks to help you be healthier. And I do have a website, thedoctorandyou.com. You can email us through the website. And then I do have a YouTube channel. If you're seeing me on my social media, you can also watch I think we're up to like 300 plus videos on my YouTube channel about various topics. So thank you for joining me, and have a healthy life.